Distracted.
That's what it looks like when I shoot a load.
Domain pre-made?
Real sad, thick.
Okay.
Got it.
It would be 1 tablespoon baking powder.
Dude,
There's no way we need this much Crisco. Rachel, this is absurd. For real. Look at the nutrition facts on the back of this.
It's 2023. Are we still using Crisco? Have you seen Bert Kreischer's show, Something's Burning on YouTube? It's one of my favorites, and this episode features some of my other favorite comedians, Theo and Andrew Santino, where they're making fried bread tacos. My name is Chef Lando, and I am a food as medicine chef living on this beautiful 19-acre farm. And I've been cooking for people with chronic illness, diabetes, cancer, and many other health issues for the past decade. I've been on a food as medicine mission for quite some time now. I've seen my customers restore their health completely around through proper food and nutrition. I'm gonna do what I like to call FAM-ify a recipe, and FAM stands for food as medicine. It's my style of cooking where I try to cram in as many nutrients as possible, but without sacrificing flavor. If anything, I'm adding flavor. It's kind of like creating a daily multivitamin, but in food form. As a food as medicine chef, it's more important to get as many nutrients in than counting calories, as that is a way to not only help lose weight, but also help prevent illnesses. And I'm here to show that all real food is healthy. It's not the food that determines health. It's the source of the ingredient of how it's raised, how it's grown, and how it's processed. It's a concept I like to call sourcism. One of the biggest challenges that I face, especially with the older generations, is convincing that fat is actually good for you. Healthy fats, though. Healthy fats like nuts, seeds, avocados, coconuts, eggs, meat, and including lard and tallow. The whole idea that fat is bad for you comes from corrupt science. I'm gonna post a link below where there's an article that shows that 2 Harvard scientists were paid by the sugar industry to blame heart disease on fat and not sugar. And this has led to this whole low fat trend. And now we're just finding out that healthy fats that are actually quite essential for our brain and our health. Vegetable oils are slowly killing us, as it's in everything. We can't escape it. Every single restaurant, fast food, high-end restaurant, mid-chain, quick chain, grocery chain, it's in everything, from your biscuits, your bagels, your bread, your cookies, your salad dressings, your sauces, your frozen foods. It's in everything. And Crisco was the first hydrogenated seed oil that was invented in 1911 by Procter & Gamble, soap makers, who were looking to capitalize off the industrialized waste of cotton. That's where Crisco got its name from, crystallized cotton, Crisco. Never in the history of mankind were hydrogenated seed oils used in kitchens, and they weren't even tested to see if they were safe for food. But Procter & Gamble were like, oh, this looks like lard, so let's market it to housewives as a cheaper and healthier alternative, and ignore how possibly it could unleash the heart disease and obesity epidemic for the next century.
Yeah, are these unhealthy, Rachel? Oh, fuck. How unhealthy?
They're like really unhealthy.
What, really?
I see all the effort that you make into making those dishes, and I didn't want to see it wasted by using Crisco instead of tallow or lard, because it's just one small change that could have revolutionized that entire dish to make it something healthy, not just for yourself, but for your guests as well. So it made me wonder what other cooks are doing at home, so if there is something that I could recommend, like just small minor tweaks to ensure that the meals are healthy. So if you want to see how I'm going to FAM-ify the fried bread tacos, just keep following along, as it's going to be extra healthy, beautiful, and delicious.
Cheers, cheers,
Ditto,
cheers.
kiddo.
Cheers. Cheers. Oh, look at yours.
Wow, fuck,
Wow.
that's so good.
Oh, that's a hot sauce.
Oh my God.
As a food as medicine chef, these are my top 10 principles I try to implement when crafting a meal. This fried bread dough recipe is a simple tortilla or flatbread recipe, so you can actually make tortillas with it if you just grill it on a pan instead of frying it. It's very forgiving, so you don't need super exact measurements. Sourcing flour is very important in maintaining optimal health. There are a few reputable companies like Central Milling, Great River, and Karen Springs Mill, to name a few. You can also look into using some Italian flours as well. I believe that most Americans' health issues come from overconsumption of glyphosate, the very toxic pesticide that is used in industrial agriculture rather than the actual wheat grains or even soy and corn for that matter. When you're working with flour and water, the amount of water will never be exact, so use a little at a time, incorporating it in till you get the right texture. And again, please don't use tap water. There are too many studies that show tap water is full of toxic chemicals, so always use filtered water. Flour and water is very sensitive to the ambient air temps and the temperatures of your hands and water, so that's why it's never an exact measurement. Plus, it's a good habit to get into it as you're actually putting the feeling into it, creating a connection when kneading the dough. You can use baking powder, but I prefer using sourdough starter, or the discard is fine too, since we are making flatbread essentially. This makes the dough naturally ferment by incorporating all the natural living bacteria around you and helps break down gluten and sugars in the dough, as well as making the tortillas more easier to digest. This is very important, as a vital part of cooking healthy is to make our gut's job easy as possible. The harder our digestive system has to work at breaking down foods, the more tired you will feel and hence lose energy. Doughs are a perfect way to incorporate added nutrients, and I love using ground turmeric, not only for all its anti-inflammation properties, but its color. Plus, you can barely taste it when incorporated into the dough, so it's perfect to use for dishes, as a turmeric flavor won't overpower or contrast any other flavors that I'll be working with. So here I made 2 sets of doughs, one plain and one with turmeric. If you can get a hold of sourdough starter or have the patience to make one, I can't recommend this enough. I try to eat only baked goods that come from natural 100% wild yeast sourdough, as for me personally, I never feel tired after eating it. Actually, quite the opposite. And I try to keep my gut happy as much as possible. Remember, 90% of serotonin, the happy hormone, is produced in the gut, so if I make my gut happy, I'm happy. But if you don't have sourdough starter, just use baking powder. Once you're done kneading, we'll cover and set this aside for at least 3 to 4 hours or until the dough doubles. With baking powder, you only need to set aside for an hour. Next, we will make the meat filling. I had extra grass-fed organic ground beef, although I do prefer the bison that Bert, Theo, and Andrew used in the show. Bison is so much leaner and tender, it's so good, but the ground beef is just as good as well. Onions and garlic are prebiotic in nature, which has shown to be effective in blocking intestinal pathogens from sticking to the gut lining, which helps feed good gut bacteria, which helps create a healthy microbiome. Now, every time I'm cooking with ground meat, this is the perfect opportunity to sneak in more nutrients. Obviously, you have to use herbs and spices. Herbs and spices don't just add flavor, but it's the foundation of plant medicine. I made a mix of smoked paprika, ancho chili, cumin, coriander, cinnamon, and Mexican oregano. It must be Mexican oregano, as it's brighter and more citrusy than Greek or Italian oregano that is commonly found in American grocery stores. And of course, some pepper and mineral salt as opposed to table salt. Meat, especially beef, has a very powerful savory taste, so it's a perfect opportunity to sneak in greens like finely chopped kale, spinach, or in this case, moringa. This gives the beef mixture another nutrient boost without really affecting the flavor. I use fresh moringa leaves as I have some growing here on my farm. Unfortunately, it's not commonly eaten in Western diets, but it's something I love introducing to my customers, as it's one of the most perfect foods, even the most highly rated by the NIH, especially for its anti-cancer properties. I love it because it's delicious, tastes like spinach, and the leaves are from a tree, making it fairly easy to grow, drought resistant, and practically available all year round. That's why moringa got its nickname, the miracle tree. Moringa also fits in one of my FAM principles, is introducing biodiversity, as studies have shown that eating a wide, biodiverse range of foods also help increase our gut health and overall immunity. Most of Americans' diet make up of corn, soy, and wheat, which adds on to the chronic disease epidemic in our country. Here we have some fresh pico de gallo that consists of fresh sweet tomatoes, red onions for a nice refreshing crunchy texture, cilantro, serrano, mineral salt, and fresh lime juice. Now it's time to start frying. I highly recommend a small countertop deep fryer. I grew up with one as we fry a lot of foods in Asian cooking. It's a very clean way to fry foods, it's convenient, and I just keep filtering the tallow and reusing it so I don't waste. Again, this is the way grandmas used to cook. If you don't have one, that's okay, and you also don't need a large Dutch oven that Bert used to fry his fry bread. You can use a shallow cast iron pan as the fry bread will float, forcing you to flip the bread anyways in the tallow or lard. I use organic grass-fed beef tallow because I buy it in a 50-pound bulk. Doesn't everyone? Well, you should start because I also use it when making my cosmetic and medicinal salves and creams. Another reason why I love the electric deep fryer is that it keeps at temp, so no messing with thermometers, and I have no worries if the oil gets too hot, which could burn the tallow and make it become rancid. Here I added fry bread of each flavor, the traditional plain and our turmeric one. Look at that beautiful golden color. Now it's time for the assembly.
Are you getting the frijoles going?
Yes, I got you, Andrew. But I didn't show you how I made the refried beans in this video because I already made them from scratch in a previous video. So check it out on my website for recipe and instructions. You can also use pre-made organic beans from the can, but I'm just a little suspicious as I don't think the manufacturers soak their beans before cooking them. Soaking beans overnight is imperative as it helps remove compounds to aid digestion.
Oh, where's cheese?
Andrew, hold your horses, I'm getting there. I'm using Rumiano organic pepper jack cheese, where I shred myself as buying pre-shredded cheese adds lots of additional crap ingredients just to keep the cheese from clumping together. This convenience does not pay off. I'm sure you heard of Eat the Rainbow, so I added raw purple cabbage for added color, which means more nutrient diversity, and phytonutrients, which have antioxidant properties that can help protect cells from damage and reduce inflammation. For more color, we're gonna top with some of that fresh pico de gallo that we made earlier. Now the last FAM principle we have yet to apply is adding probiotics, which is abundant in this organic cultured sour cream. Make sure it says cultured, or if you look at the ingredients, it should only contain milk, cream, and some strains of live probiotic cultures. You can also use yogurt. This is micro cilantro because I don't think you can ever really have too many herbs. Plus it contains 20 to 30 times more nutrients than its mature plant. Cilantro is essential for health as it contains significant chelating properties that bind heavy metals that get removed from the body through our excretory system. And for more color and probiotic cultures, I added a side of my homemade fermented habanero sauce because I love my tacos hot, hot, hot.
That's fucking hot.
Wow. Dude, sometimes when something's hot,
It's really good. I gotta tell you, the habaneros, it's
Oh.
not fucking around.
No shit. You gotta put a lot on mine.
Yeah, I put a lot on mine.
oh god.
Oh shit.
I do a song.
Oops, I almost forgot the avocados. I grow them on the farm and I add avocado on everything. It's one of the healthiest fats out there for a healthy brain.
Wow, wow, wow,
Feel
wow,
good.
wow.
Well, there you have it. A very in-depth look of how I FAM-ify the fried bread tacos. Hope you enjoyed it. Health is wealth.
Really good.
Dude, anybody can do a cooking show.